David taking the whole week off, huh? Wow. Holiday season.
Which has unintended byproducts.
I know.
Clarence Hill, All City, Dallas. Can you give us an update on some of the injured guys? Especially the guys that didn't play last week and their chances of playing this week, like Zach Martin and some of the guys.
Zach won't work today. He'll be in the rehab group. Tyler Smith, he worked yesterday, so look for him to take pretty much the whole thing. Chuma, he's working. Brandon Cooks is working. So who else you want?
Kendricks, Nealon.
Kendricks did a little bit. So we'll see. He'll be rehab group today. We'll see how that goes.
What about Diggs?
Diggs, he's working. He's working today.
And how's Bland come out after that game? And
yeah, he's good. He did the walkthrough and so forth yesterday. I mean, obviously yesterday's practice wasn't a huge stressor physically.
What's been the key to the improvement on defense? What would you say outside of just them?
I just think it's really the overall theme of just in areas we have been able to pick it up a bit is the connection is something you always you're striving for at the beginning of the year. But I just think we're starting to get a little bit of consistency, guys playing together. So if we can stay healthy with that first 14, 15, 16 guys on each side of the ball, I'd like to be able to take another step this week. Obviously it's about winning, but just to get our consistency up.
You good? Someone else has a question?
Good.
He's making up for not being here yesterday. It was built up.
Like Potter with ESPN. Uncertainty at quarterback for the Giants with DeVito. When it's two guys that have not played much, what do you kind of rely on, and when you're looking at them?
I think you just really got to stay on top of the concepts. I mean, and that's what we're doing. Obviously, DeVito's played last year. I mean, there's definitely tape to go back to, but the other pieces aren't going to change. I just think that his ability to make plays in and out of the pocket is a real focus for us.
And then with CD, I don't know what yards per catch matters much to you, or just what do you put his numbers down? It's almost 3 yards per catch from his career.
I just think it's kind of where we are offensively. So, CD is a huge asset for our offense. So he's definitely a focal point. But yeah, I think if we're going to start throwing numbers around, I mean, our numbers aren't very good on offense. I think just early in the year, particularly some of the games that we got into. But we had a decent week last week. We improved in the areas that we wanted to as far as how we wanted to play the game. Our third down really over the past month is something that we really have to pick up this week. We've given that a little more extra time this week as a coaching staff. So we're just really staying focused on doing the things we need to do to win. But we're not going to win any statistical battles this year.
John Machado at The Athletic. I know it's a small sample size, but just what have you thought of Rico Dowdle now being in that lead role?
I think he's doing a good job. The touches are about where you like to have them. 18 to 20 a game. Combination of running attempts and receiving. So, but I think just like anything, you have an idea, a vision how you want to play an opponent. Obviously, taking care of the football offensively is so important because every series you want it to end in a kick. But our third down was probably the one area we had to give away, but the one area last week that really didn't give us the extra opportunities to run the football.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. This morning, Jerry Jones said it wouldn't be crazy for you to get a contract extension.
Why are you laughing?
I hope you get it.
Crazy. I mean,
Just because that we're still talking about this, and here we are in late November, about your future and that kind of thing.
well, I mean, I really haven't talked about it all year, so I mean, definitely not going to start on a short week in an important division game. But I'm not going to throw away positive vibes either. So I'll keep them coming. But that's all good. But no, yeah, that's not something I'm really focused on.
How tough has it been for the staff? Because you've had a lot of health issues, and you had to use a lot of young guys to kind of help out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a staff, this is very challenging. But as we've talked as a staff, we'll be better coaches because of this experience. I believe that. I've experienced it in the past because that's what this league's about. It's not about players getting injured. It's really when and who and the timing of it. Really the getting your young guys ready to play as fast as possible. You have different levels of of that each and every year. So this is really, if you're going to coach in this league, you have to be able to coach through these times. So I think all of us, I know all of us will be better for this experience.
Nick Harris, Full Start Telegram. Different from the last time you guys played the Giants, different starting running back in Tyrone Tracy. How do you think he kind of mixes up that offense and makes things difficult?
Definitely. I mean, I think just his ability to to generate offense, rack, yak, whatever how you define it. But I think the biggest thing is that what I see is a combination of the run and the pass. DeVito, the early question, exactly how they're going to utilize them. But just like what I see is I think they are trying to get a good balance of run and pass. You go back to the last game up there, they slowed it down. The pace of that game was very methodical. They tried to hold on to the ball and go long drives. So I think for us, particularly on defense, we got to do a really good job, obviously on first and second down. But we got to get off the field. Third down will be big for us defensively, because I did think they did a good job in the first game of controlling the clock, and that's something that we got to do a better job of, in our complementary football formula.
And then Malik Neighbors, after the game on Sunday, kind of talked about how he wanted to be used more. Do you guys look at that and maybe anticipate extra usage from a player when they say?
Well, I think we have clear understanding they're gonna try to get him the ball. So, and where he lines up is important. Yeah, absolutely.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Mike, you talked about earlier in the season sort of building your team for the divisional opponents you're going to face, Dexter Lawrence and their defensive line. What are your thoughts on their pass rush to the year they've had?
I mean, Dexter is. He's always had our attention. I know as long as I've been here, I think he's maybe the top or one of the top inside players in the league. Just have a tremendous amount of respect for him. But yeah, I think like anything, and if you just not only in our division. If you want to be a playoff football team, you have to have it on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And guys like Dexter Lawrence is a great example.
Brad
Sham, 105.3 The Fan. Mike, where's Spanford made his greatest improvement, and what's he have to do still to become the player you think he can be?
I really like Brad. I think he's improved all the way around. We talked a little bit about this I think last week. I think he did some things on special teams early that I didn't anticipate. Just watching him through training camp, but I think he's getting better each and every week. Start with the run blocking. Not only the ability to block, but the recognition. When you're playing against these defensive ends, particularly last week, and where they're jumping from a 9 technique into a 6 technique, crashing the C gap. So obviously, Fowler last week is someone who's very good at it. We'll see some of that this week. You got two excellent defensive ends. So the matchup of not only playing against these guys with good technique and so forth, but the recognition of what's coming and what's going on. So I think it's a great illustration for a young player. Just they need to play. They need those live opportunities, and I just see him getting better and better each week. I think his route running was the best thing he did coming in here. And I think he's doing a really nice job because I know the quarterback room has a lot of confidence in him when he does run his routes, the time clocks and so forth. And he's a tough young man. I mean, he's got a wide body type, which you love, but he also has and movement abilities to play the other positions, and he's done a good job in particularly some of the motions and redirection. So him and Luke they've done a good job with their opportunity.
Sydney.
Coach, Sydney Staples, KG10 Sports. What are the similarities and differences you see between a Daniel Jones and a DeVito?
Well, I mean, the body types are different. I mean, obviously, I think that I think just like anything, if pure personnel evaluation, they definitely have different styles, throwing motions, all that, and so forth. But really, we're focused on how they're going to use them. I think the movement part of it, in which they've used Daniel a lot in the last, in his career, both, in the pocket, out of the gun. So I think that part will be the same. But I think Daniel's a very natural pocket passer in my assessment. Where I think DeVito's more is going to make it happen. Once that 2.3 second time clock goes off.
Josh.
Mike, when it comes down to third down, specifically over the past couple of weeks, have you been able to identify, is it either a combination of things, or is it one thing in particular? Is it as it pertains to like a repetitive issue on third?
Third down offense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just like anything, I mean, the norm is it's usually never just one thing. Because if it is, God, I would hope we would have adjusted and fixed it by now. But yeah, there's just some execution things. You go back through the scenarios. I mean, the first thing that I always look at is, what kind of third downs are we in? So obviously we've been above 7+ too much. So I mean, that tells you, first and second down. So we committed. We were high tendency last week, second 1 to 7 and run, but that was by design because it's just what I was trying to get done, particularly where we were with the offensive line, letting those guys get set under their pads and play behind their pads. So we need to do a little better job on first and second down, keep the third down distance lower. But just like anything, this week's different. The ranges of what you expect, pressure and so forth are different every week. We didn't get as much pressure as they showed, earlier in our game, particularly. So, the ability to cloud to CD, which everybody does. So you got to, we have a good plan for that. So, but at the end of the day, it does come down to execution. So we just got to keep putting our players in a position to be successful as a coaching staff. And that's, just like anything, when we have days like we've had the last 3 games, third down, just got to spend more time on it, make sure we got a clean plan.
Hey Mike, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Sunday marked the 3rd start for Cooper Rush, but also the 3rd game in which there was an issue with one of the exchanges between Cooper Beebe and Cooper Rush. Do you think that's a product of an inexperienced starting center in conjunction with a slight cadence change from your backup quarterback, or is there something that you guys have been able to identify and attack?
Yeah, I mean, we've identified it. We just emphasize it again in the walkthrough. I was just said before I walked in here. So yeah, it needs to, it needs to go away. Frankly, I mean, it's not a lack of preparation on the Cooper's part, both those guys, because they definitely put the time and energy in it. Home and away has been a factor in, if you look at not only the snaps but also the pre-snaps, and we're talking about 2 rookie players that I'm referring to there. So we got to fight and grow through this because it can't happen. We've had 2 a game in the last 3 games, so it's definitely something we got to eliminate.
Top.
Mike, at this time of the year, are there, with what happened with Marcus Paul your first year, are there ways that you keep his memory alive for the guys that don't know him, or the guys that still are around and know him?
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Harold Nash is still very close with Heidi. We honored Marcus, last week, and just make sure everybody's aware of the foundation and the things that that are being done to keep his memory alive. The fellowship that we have in place is a daily reminder of Marcus. And, I didn't know Marcus very long, just working with him that first year. But he still has a strong presence in our organization.
Rico's been very consistent, obviously over 4 yards to carry, but the big run's not been there, at least for the running game. What's been the key, or what's stopping you guys from him popping one on the running game, getting one down the field?
Yeah, I think like anything, trips to the plate I've always felt are very important. I thought Marty Schottenheimer said it best. He used to talk about, the ability to run the football, 1 or 2 yards in the first quarter, 2 and 3 in the second quarter. You're probably tired of hearing this, but third, I think you got to keep banging away, and that's where those runs come. Very rarely do you come out and pop the big ones, early. So, if you do, it's usually something they did wrong, or just the execution was just so specific and accurate. But yeah, I just think we just got to stay after it. We got to get the attempts up. We didn't have enough attempts in the last game, and we still won the time of possession. We controlled the clock against Washington, which was a big focus of ours. So we just got to stay the course. Complementary football is the best way for us to win games. It has been the last couple of years, and we just got to play to that. And running the football and stopping the run are critical to that.
All right, we're going to have to go. Thank you.
Thank you.